So, hello everybody and welcome to Connection and Conversations. Human connection is the most powerful, immune boosting, health promoting tool that you have. And I'm delighted you are joining us today or watching us on replay because I get to connect and chat with this gorgeous lady, Lucy McCormack from Live Life Lightly. Hey, Lucy.
Hey, and I get to chat to you.
Win-win. So a lot of the focus of my work is on the physical in order to impact the mental, emotional. And I get to connect with my clients through conversation and touch therapy of acupuncture. And of course, conversation over pulse diagnosis, which directs the conversation in a consultation. But what you do is unique. And I'm really looking forward to hearing you explain how you connect with people through your work. And that connection that develops between you and your clients, and in turn, anybody that they come into contact with, is the gift that you give to people. And this kind of work has a ripple effect in the people that are around the person that you work with. So Lucy, please tell everyone, what are you trying to achieve with the people in the work that you do?
Well, so I kind of start the other end of the spectrum. So you start with the physical stuff. I start with the mental, emotional, and really I actually start with talking about their soul, who they are on a soul level, what that actually means. I read the Akashic records. So the Akashic records are the records of our soul, and they're mentioned in all sorts of things. They talk about them in the Bible. They're the book of life. So they are the records of everything our soul did from the first time it arrived in the universe. And there's loads of information that you can get about that, which is all really cool as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And so how did you find out about all this stuff? Because your previous life was as an accountant. So this is a huge shift.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I went like, woo, wee. Yeah. So I started off as an accountant. I still love numbers. Numbers are really my thing. I'm really organized. I love making lists, which interestingly enough is one of the facets of my soul. It's one of the things I look at for people, whether they're more kind of linear, if they like doing things in order, which would be me, or if they're more organic, where they like kind of throwing things together and they're kind of better at seeing the big picture. But yeah, so I started as an accountant. I enjoyed that enough. It was fine. I still do some of it too, but I kind of lost myself. I got really depressed, really miserable. There was a lot of kind of family stuff going on. I was reading a book last week, which had a description in it, which I thought was perfect, which is where you're like a swan, so from on the top, you look like you're gliding across the surface, and underneath you're paddling like a lunatic. So that was me.
Many people. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of, I saw something else which really resonated with me too, which is that there's a lot of, strong women out there who are really holding everything together, and they look like life is perfect. And that was the way I felt. I think somebody looking, I'm really blessed. We live in a beautiful house. I have a fabulous son. I have an amazing husband. I have an insane dog. Life from the outside, life is perfect. And at this point, from the inside, life is pretty good as well. But back then, I think people looking at us would have thought everything was really easy. But I was doing a huge amount to my own detriment of keeping it all together and looking after elderly parents, that kind of stuff, which is really, really tough. So I started getting emails about energy stuff. I started looking into it. I was really drawn to it. I've done feng shui, qigong, EFT or tapping. I've done more courses than you could ever possibly imagine. And finally, but the Akashic record reading one was the one that I love. I love all of it, but I got a reading from a friend, and it was life-changing, completely life-changing. And one of the things, it sounds ridiculous, but one of the things I really love is telling people who they're not.
Okay.
Because we're all trying to be, you see somebody and I'd love, they look like they have life together. I'd like to be like that, but you can't be like that. You have to be yourself.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I find that really good.
When you then, so when you were in the position of when you weren't feeling great inside, okay, and you're looking at, did you have the perception? So you said the perception of you from people looking at you was like, oh, they have a great life, or Lucy has a great life.
Yeah.
And you did have a good life. That's not what you're saying. But when you looked around you, did you think everybody else had a perfect life or not?
I don't think I had time to think about anybody else.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was so busy doing all that paddling. You know, and I mean, I know we went out for a wonderful walk. Matthew was about maybe 5, so probably 15 years ago. We went for a wonderful walk up the mountains. We had a lovely day, but I really felt there was a black cloud following me around.
Okay. Yeah.
A really, really serious black cloud. It was just here. I could nearly see it.
Yeah.
You know, and at that stage I said, yeah, that's the point. I need to go get some help. I need to get some antidepressant tablets or whatever to knock myself out of it. I also, at around about that stage, found Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Started listening to him, started actually realizing that I was creating all this myself. You know, that it was my thinking that what was doing this, and the way I was looking at it all, and that shifted, and I stopped taking the antidepressants relatively soon after.
That's so empowering, isn't it? I mean, not that we're suggesting that everybody just goes and does a course and comes off their medications, but working with your GP, because it's to know that you actually have got control over this, or that you have a say in this, and we're not just our thoughts, and we can change how we think, is incredible.
Yes. Well, one of my big kind of waking up moments was Matthew. Oh, maybe Matthew was maybe 12 at this stage, and he was studying for, I don't know, 6th class exams, that kind of thing. And he works very hard, and he was up and he was at his desk in his room, and I went in and I said, do you want anything? And he went, oh, can I have a glass of water? And I said, yeah. And then I went downstairs and I was like, oh, for God's sake, you know, can he not get the damn glass of water himself? And then it suddenly dawned on me, but that's what I want to be doing.
Yes.
This is what I want to do with my life. I want to look after him. I want to support him. What he was doing was more important than whatever it was I thought I should be doing in that moment.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and so instead of going up and throwing a glass of water at him, which is how I felt originally, I went up and I went, you know, oh, here's your glass of water, pet. Can I get you anything else? And he said, no, it's fine. And he told me he loved me. And that just, like, it was such a different way when I looked at it differently.
Yes. Yeah.
You
absolutely.
know, that's completely different.
Yeah. And so then, so you moved into this area. Well, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but with the Akashic, is that the right correct?
Yep, Akashic records.
Records. Is there maths involved in that, or is
No.
it? Yeah.
Well, actually, a tiny weeny bit, because there are percentages. So
it's a logical thing, though. Is it a logical process?
The initial reading is absolutely, I mean, I think that was probably one of the things, because I'd read loads of books on it, but it was one of the things that drew me to the specific soul realignment, which is what I do with people. And I have a very distinct protocol of questions that I go through and I ask and I get answers for. And, you know, so tell people what their energy centers are, which is, you know, kind of what their soul is made up of, what they're good at, what they're not, as I said, what they're not good at, what they should be kind of focusing their energy on. So it's not, you know, you should be doing this with your life. It's, you know, if you're using, you know, I'm a communicator. So if I am communicating, I'm happy. You can tell. I like to lie. I like to talk.
And you're lovely to be around for that reason. Thank
you. But it is like it. So it's that where somebody else, if they're not the energy center of divine communication and they're trying to use speech to get themselves somewhere, it's not going to work as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we say with people, and if I butt in too soon, you can let me know. With people who are very logical then, and they go, oh my God, is she going to talk to me in all this energy terminology? Will it make any sense to me? How is that going to help me? What would you say?
Oh, I am going to talk to them about energy.
All right. Okay.
But I certainly, well, to start with, I'm also telling them with the readings, I'm also telling them about their past lives, what decisions they made in past lives that are still affecting them. So you know, you might have been in a past life, you might have been, I don't know, a nun, you might have made a vow of poverty. That might still be in your energy field.
Right.
So
Right.
if you can have that let go, and then I do a clearing, I give them a prayer. They say the prayer every day for 21 days, which helps them focus on, you know, not behaving like that, not making the same mistakes.
Right.
I guess.
So it's like increasing people's awareness, and then you give them something, a tool that they can use, and then they can affect change in their lives. Yeah. And it's not just, is it an instant change, or it's a gradual, you build on it?
It has to be a choice.
Yeah.
So it's not an instant change. It's a possibility for change.
Right. Absolutely.
But it does have to be a choice.
Yeah.
And it has to be, and one of the things I had in my record was unjustified karma, where I had been involved in a past life in somebody, I had been looking after a small child who had died in an accident, and I had taken that on. So and my soul wasn't letting that go. So and I could see that when I was told about it. I could see that, you know, every time James and Matthew went out, if they were 10 minutes later, I thought they'd died, you know, and I was running that in my head, you know, oh my God, the car crash and the funeral, you know, nonsense stuff. And when I saw that and I let it go, but it's not instantaneous. So, you know, the next time Matthew's 20 minutes late or James is 20 minutes late, my head is thinking, oh, they might have died. I'm going, no, I don't do that anymore.
Right. Yes.
So it's a change. And that's really, you know, and letting that go made an enormous, as you can imagine, made an enormous difference to my life. Absolutely. And I find, you know, I've talked to, these tend to be one-off sessions, but I have talked to quite a lot of the people that I've done them with. One woman went out, completely changed her life, wrote a book that she'd been putting off for years and years and years, which was fabulous. But she just, she got that little boost of energy from letting go the other stuff.
Well, it sounds like she had an enormous shift, you know?
Yes, so she did.
If people, so you believe then in, well, do you believe in, I'm putting words in your mouth, but it sounds like you believe in reincarnation. Okay. So what about somebody then who has a particular religious belief? Well, is there an issue with that, or it doesn't infringe on that, or what?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if they have a real belief that they don't believe in incarnation, they're not going to want a session anyway.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Do you know, I mean, it's not, I'd love to do it for them. And they can look at it as well. I think some people look at it as kind of ancestral beliefs or ancestral blocks that are coming through. So maybe they're going to look at it as something that their great grandmother did, that is still, because that has also been shown to affect us. So you could look at it that way if you wanted to.
And I think it could be an interesting, even if people see it as, and besides the people that want to do it for that spiritual aspect, as an interesting insight into yourself. You know, Absolutely. You don't necessarily have to buy into a belief system.
No.
Have a session, and if you get a shift like that lady who suddenly then, I mean, to write a book is a pretty big thing. A lot of us think about writing books, but I haven't written mine yet, you know.
And I think as well, you know, I mean, even me, I'm, as you said at the beginning, like I'm really logical. So there is a small part of my brain going, am I just making all this up? You know, but every time I talk to a client, the stuff resonates.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I mean, my favorite story on that, which I've told so many times, but I'm going to keep telling it because it's really, really easy, is the woman and I told her that in a past life, she was blamed for having burnt down her parents' house. Now, she didn't do it, but she was blamed. And she went, oh my God, I can't light a match. You know, and it's just, I was like, oh, so I was right. You know?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And so from with the records, I'm just going to say records in case I mess it up. And then, did you do Tony Robbins? Did you do I know you've gone to a lot of his seminars and things like that. Did you do that after or is it a continuous training that you're doing and you just went to why did you go and do Tony Robbins stuff?
I love Tony Robbins. He's one of those chaps, you either love him or you hate him. I don't think anybody is indifferent.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't like some of his language. I don't like some of the way he deals with people, but I do love all the techniques that he uses. And I've had a Tony Robbins coach myself.
Yes. Okay.
And she was absolutely spectacular. But she was, you know, if you're going to work with a coach, you need to work with somebody who works like you do. So what she did with me was she worked with the techniques. That's what I love. I think I'm more of a teacher than a coach.
Okay.
You know, I like techniques. I like to be able to teach people things and then work out how they can use them in their lives.
Okay. So when you're do consultations with people, are you talking about things like teaching tapping and other exercises as well, which is something really practical that people can use immediately?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, we've both been doing positive intelligence.
Yeah, that's right. Mental fitness.
Mental fitness.
Build that brain muscle.
And what I love about that is that starts, it's much more like what you do. It starts with the physical. You're building up your brain, you're building up those neural pathways. And I love the fact that it is something you can do even if you're feeling awful.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you know, you just, and it is literally using that command muscle, not letting yourself wander off down those lovely spirals of insane negative thinking and catching yourself.
Absolutely,
you know.
because it's the first place that you go to. So myself and Lucy, I just fill people in. Myself and Lucy did a course, positive intelligence course, and I kind of did it because it was COVID-19 and we're all in lockdown, and I thought I have got to do something to just stay focused and just something that I guess had, I don't know, just some kind of something that will make me feel positive and stay positive and with everything that's going on around me. So Lucy contacted me and told me about this course. And so we did it, and we went through the course together, and another lovely woman, Sue Landsberg, who I've interviewed before. And it was so incredible in terms of not immediately going down the negative, like not getting up first thing in the morning and looking in the mirror and going, ugh. but also obviously, going into the mirror now and going, yes, you know, you're alive, and just feeling good instead of seeing this, you know, you're not perfect and and it was amazing, and definitely for me there was a huge shift in that. How did you find the?
Oh, absolutely incredible. Yeah. And I think I've talked to around about 20 people now who've also done the course over the last maybe 6 months, and they've all had just unbelievable shifts.
Sorry, go on, Lucy.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say, and I even talked to one woman who knew 3 people who'd done it, who had been very traumatized as children, who said that it's 6 weeks, it's simple exercises. There's some self-learning to go and, you know, some of it's not comfortable for sure, but it is absolutely well worth the effort.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and I said at the end, that's it, I'm not doing anymore. And then I went, but gosh, it just made such a difference, you know.
Exactly. And I know for people watching, it's like, oh, another course. And because and as Irish people, we can be a bit cynical about this stuff. And I was the same. I swore I'd never do another course. I just couldn't believe how quickly it made such a difference.
Yeah, and the ability. So, I mean, like yourself, I'm going to be offering the course that we did to people.
And when before
hopefully
the
beginning of January is when I'm so I have 5 slots for that, but I'm doing that slightly differently. So I'm going to do that where they also book a soul realignment session, so that we can, those energy centers that I'm talking about, that we can look at the positives in relation to those, and where, because it's also, you know, where do you get caught up in like over giving to people or whatever it is, so that you can see it quicker, catch yourself, and then use your mental muscles.
Yes.
And the technique they always talk about, the rubbing 2 fingertips together, just concentrating on that for half a minute or 10 seconds even. That's just right. To stop yourself.
10 seconds. That's what the science says. This is what rewires your brain, people. Seriously, there is evidence. There's science there. So
he says 6 weeks. You can see a difference on an MRI scan. So
yeah. And as much as I like was when you know, watching people and they're making all these promises and stuff, and you're thinking, but when it's working, it's like, okay, yes. I believe you. You know, this works. Yeah.
The thing I love about it, I mean, as we said a couple of times, I do things like tapping or EFT, or I do all sorts of other techniques. But a lot of the time when you're miserable or you're depressed, or certainly at the moment, there's so much negativity in the air. You don't necessarily want to help yourself. And that's where I myself really fall into that hole. You know, I get up, I feel miserable, and I go, sure, you know, it's just the way it is. But this, because it's 10 seconds and there's an app, and like, I love the organization of the app. And you can do it. You can just, and once you do that 10 seconds or a minute or a couple of minutes even, you go, oh gosh, and then I feel like maybe tapping or doing something else, or doing my qigong or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same for me. So when, well, although I tend to be, I'm a pain in the ass in terms of, excuse my French.
I know you're not, you're lovely.
No, but no, in terms of, I'm kind of, even if I'm feeling not great, I'm happy. I'm happy, no matter what, I'm happy. Because for me that works, and that's always worked for me. So if I just keep, it can be negative though, because if you keep pushing yourself too much to always be happy, then you can just, you know, it's not real, it's not actually substantial peace, I guess, inside yourself. So but again, I love this for the speed. But I think that's brilliant that you're doing it with the records, because that can, you know, when you get clarity or you get awareness with what you're doing, and then you have something. So because oftentimes people are so afraid when they come to work with you or when they come to work with me, that if they actually look at their life and all these things are just going to fall apart. Absolutely. Which is not the aim. The aim is that people, that they're kept, it's a safe space for people, and a soft landing. You have these techniques and these tools. Yeah. So on that, so Lucy, what does, I'm always saying, you know, diet and exercise are really important, or a way of eating and an attitude towards food and things like that are important, but so many other things are important in terms of health. So as a woman, as an Irish woman, what does health mean to you?
Health means, health with me is all tied up with my energy levels. I mean, you asked me earlier and I was saying that, oh yeah, everybody ends up talking about energy with me. But it is, you know, if you look at your life and you say, okay, a time I reacted really badly, or a time I felt really awful. And you say, well, what was on a scale of -10 to +10, what was my energy level at that moment in time? And that is why you were reacting the way you were, or the way you were feeling the way you were. So anything that you can do, whether it's the PQ, positive intelligence reps that we were talking about, a little bit of tapping, anything at all that raises your energy and makes you feel better, or even thinking about it, because your thoughts are really, really powerful. And because your thoughts are a lighter energy, they're more fleeting. You can change them faster than you can change your body. So if you think about a time you were really happy, and find that memory and step into it and really feel it, that's going to change your energy. And that is ultimately going to change your health. And the other thing is that your willpower is, you've only a finite amount of willpower. So if you're using that to push yourself through life, to do all your normal tasks, then you're going to get to the end of the day and you're going to want to eat all the chocolate, and you'll have no willpower left, because you've used it all. Yes. So if you can get yourself to a stage where your energy is high and you're feeling good about yourself, you're not going to eat all the rubbish.
That is such a great way to explain it. I love that, because I tend to be kind of logical. I'm very logical, but I am very open to listening and learning from people who talk about spirit and soul. And so, you know, on the one level I may say, well, it might not be for me, but on the other level I want to hear it and I want to know. And I think sometimes I think, and it's possibly because I over logicalize it, I want to know, like for me, it's just, that's different terminology. So for me, it's okay, what's my energy like? What's my body feel like? Am I sore anywhere right now? These are, so I just check into the physical, which is kind of what you're saying, only in a different way. Yeah. And that would be how I would measure it. And when I'm working with people as well, you know, in terms of acupuncture and stuff. When I take somebody's pain away, and that the relief and the release in the body, and that's the first thing people will say when they get off the table, their energy feels different.
Absolutely.
Now, they're talking about their physical energy, but they're talking about more.
But it's all the same.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected. It's all levels.
Yeah, well, love this.
Levels.
If I granted, this is my favorite question now. I loved that, and I love this question. So if I granted you one wish, Lucy, what would that be?
Little boots for dogs that they'd like to wear so they don't get my kitchen floor dirty.
No, the dogs need to feel with their paws. If I see
know that,
those...
but that's why I said little boots the dogs would actually like to wear.
Oh, okay. Very carefully do terminology.
Yes, I knew you'd argue with me.
Yes, Lucy and myself are very, very doggy people, and
well, I do have one other wish other than other than the usual, you know, peace on earth, no more COVID-19, all those things. But my other wish, I asked Matthew before I came up, and his suggestion was, because Marks and Spencer's were out of chocolate chip cookies when I was shopping last week, and so I spent the weekend trying to make chocolate chip cookies, not very well. So a good recipe for chocolate chip cookies, if anybody knows it, that would be what
put it in the comments. Not that I needed it for Lucy, my friend. Okay, excellent. I love that wish.
My two wishes.
Okay, so we're nearly out of time here, Lucy. So can you please tell everybody where they can find you on social media, where your website is, and if you have a date for that course that you're going to be running?
I have so Live Life Lightly on Facebook.
Which is a fantastic name. I love it.
Thank you. I had to go with the L's.
I like the idea of it. It's Live Life Lightly. You know love it.
Well, see, Lucy means light. So that's where I was coming from. But yeah, so Live Life Lightly Facebook, Live Life Lightly on Instagram. My website is lucymccormack.com. But I think, and certainly for the PQ stuff and the soul realignment sessions, I'm in the process of making a video explaining more about it. So that will be up on my Facebook page with lots of links to book and get on that next day or so.
Perfect. Fantastic. So thank you so much for coming on, Lucy. I really appreciate it. I slightly messed up people with the time. Lucy was there. I wasn't. But thankfully she's very obliging. And so I apologize if anybody was there at 11 o'clock thinking she said it was 11 o'clock. It's not, I know. So if you're watching us on replay, thank you so much. And Live Life Lightly. Give it a look up, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much, Lucy.
Okay.
Now we'll say bye-bye, Facebook. Bye, Facebook. Okay, and stop recording. Oh, that was brilliant. I'm sorry if I